Can everyone hear me? Yeah, okay. So I'm a London-based designer with a socially engaged design practice, and I'm here to talk to you about a project called the Welsh Space Campaign, and specifically how it started, what's happened so far, and where it's heading. So I'm from a town called Cardigan in West Wales. It's a town around 4,000 people, and it's built upon working class trades. So my heritage is grounded in the hands-on skills-based activities. But I feel there's a gap between these skills and interesting ways of using them in contemporary culture beyond the kind of current context of use. So could plumbing and trade skills be used in more interesting ways than fixing a boiler or plastering a wall? I propose the question, can a plumber build a spacesuit? So confident to release this question from the realm of speculation through a series of lo-fi experiments, I rigorously researched spacesuit technologies, and I also spoke to the experts. Here I'm trying to inflate up some legs with a pressure vessel in my garage. So when I'd grounded my basic understanding of spacesuit technologies, I travelled back to my hometown and arranged to spend 2 days of work with my brother, a plumber by trade. The first day's work as his apprentice was negotiated for a second day of spacesuit-related plumbing discussion. It was a collaborative process in which he traded his knowledge of plumbing and heating systems in return for my knowledge of how it could be subverted for cosmic application.
Create pressure inside so that all your organs and shit still work.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same as a heating system, isn't it?
So, you get the gist. With my brother coming to the conclusion of, yeah, it's pretty much the same as a heating system, innit? We built this simple spacesuit pressure system prototype, and it was made from parts of the back of his van. So the creation of this prototype was exploring a nice tension between the domestic and the cosmic. You know, two contexts completely disconnected from each other. So later on that evening, to try and understand what that tension was, I asked my dad to translate the NASA launch countdown transcript into the Welsh language, and then read it from the dinner table.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, tanio. 4, 3, 2, 1, dim. Corribant.
So corribant is lift off in Welsh. So I placed these two prototypes together, and the Welsh Space Campaign came into existence. So I looked at other aspects of Welsh culture that I could reconfigure into space. So through the process of recontextualizing these cultural kind of artifacts and activities into space, I've begun to prepare all the relevant components for a space program. So looking at traditional wooden clogs, these became space clogs. I also tried to twin Wales with another planet in our solar system, but through a series of emails, this kind of failed. But I always prevailed with other aspects of a space program, so this time turning my attention to a spacesuit. I arranged a meeting with the National Wool Museum Wales and took this really quick Photoshop of a woolen spacesuit. And through the meeting, we came to the idea of why don't we collaborate with some of the last woolen mills in Wales to provide fabric for the outside of a spacesuit. And on this informed an idea of how wool mills all around Wales could be used as space hubs for communities. So involving people into the process as early as possible, I find really enriches the process because you're engaging the people that, that this matters to. So mills around Wales contributed all this amazing fabric, and I began to prototype a spacesuit. But it wasn't about them just giving the fabric. It was about them investing in the idea of what the Welsh Space Campaign could mean to their industry. So I started to get these really amazing engagements. So this postcard saying, "Dear Hefin, good luck with your mission," which received with some fabric. And asking craftspeople if they've ever wanted to go to space.
Well, of course, yn sicr pe fydden ni yn mynd i'r gofod, fydden ni sicrhau bod gyda fi yr cyfan fydde angen arna i ddechrau ffatri mlaen fanna. A fydden ni'n mynd ar rhai o personau, ar hen personau, fel yr hen siol fawr Gymreig a'r garthen, a sicrhau bod yr hen fyddodiad yn cadw i fynd ac pe fydde am y noson o'r lan na, fydden ni chwilio am y dillad hyn.
So, whilst I was visiting the wool mill, by chance there was a poet laureate, Kerry Wyn-Jones, there visiting. So I grabbed him, told him about the project, and it led him to writing this, which is a 10-to-1 launch countdown poem with each number referencing an aspect of Welsh culture and its people. So at this point, I was really looking at the culturalisation of space. I was looking at how I could put this rich culture into space, and the most logical method for doing that seemed like a rocket. So every year in Wales, it's host to the National Eisteddfod. It's the one on the right. It's a traditional festival in which poets compete for this chair through writing and performing a series of poems. So I designed a 4-stage rocket that would look to put this chair into space. I collaborated with physics professors at Aberystwyth University to work out how we could put this chair into near-Earth orbit so it passes over Wales the same time every day. They sent me this amazing booklet with equations such as detailing how much energy per kilo would be needed to get this chair into space, and detailing the launch site, how much energy would be needed to get it from there. And I decided the launch site would have to be the castle in my hometown of Cardigan, because it was the place in which the first ever National Eisteddfod was held back in 1176. So the Welsh Space Campaign launches ordinary people into outer space through finding a cosmic context for Welsh culture, skills and traditions. The primary element of the space campaign is a journey towards a community spacesuit. So some of the last mills in Wales have provided fabric. Here I am with them, kind of shocking them a bit. And a traditional clog maker from North Wales has made space boots. And my brother, the plumber, has built a pressure system for a spacesuit. And from this simple drawing, we expanded this into realization, and the pressure system actually functions. So if connected to a spacesuit, it provides 3.5 psi of pressure, and that's the right atmospheric pressure to prevent your bodily fluids from boiling, so it sustains life in outer space. So the project facilitates this thing, I've got in my head I described as participatory speculation, in which people are invited into the creation of these cosmic objects, and their experience during this process allows them to reconsider the current context of their skill. And through them doing that, reconsidering their skill, maybe they might want to create some new possibilities for it. So once the spacesuit was complete, I organised a surprise pilgrimage to the National Wool Museum.
Very good.
So I spoke to the craftspeople that contributed, and we discussed what this spacesuit could mean for their industry.
Mae fe'n mynd nôl I lle oedd gwlanen yn cael ei defnyddio i'r glôr a hefyd i'r dynion tân a'r milwyr, ond nhw gyd yn arfer defnyddio gwlanen, ynddo nhw?
Mae'r byd arall.
Mae'r byd arall.
Wedi cael... Mae'r hen diwydiannau wedi mynd.
Mae'r hen traddodiadau wedi mynd hefyd yn dos.
Mae'n falle bod hwn yn gyfle I ni falle I edrych ydy mewn byd newydd yn wir newydd.
So we were considering the current, community role of these Welsh Guilds and how the Welsh Space Campaign could be used as a way to reorganise and enrich communities. So all these possibilities that they were presenting to me were being born really from a belief that they had the capacity to do this, a belief that they could collectively come together to build a spacesuit. So after this discussion, I made a film which would aim to authenticate a world in which wool mills all around Wales provide spacesuit fabric. So elements of the Welsh Space Campaign are currently being exhibited in the Baltic Contemporary Centre for Arts in Newcastle. The entire first mission will be displayed in Rotterdam's Museum Boijmans at the end of this year. And this September, as part of London Festival in association with Crafts Council, the Welsh Space Campaign will launch its second mission. So the second mission involves the construction of a new and developed spacesuit, including contributions from other musicians and writers from Wales. And to document the first and second mission, every interview, every interpretation from plumbers, physics professors, musicians, writers, will go into a Welsh Space Campaign book. And this book will then be published and distributed to the main space sections of libraries around the UK and beyond. So the discovery of more industries, cultures and communities that can be recontextualized for space is an ongoing process. Whether it's designing space rugby or looking at how I can reconfigure redundant mines around Wales to be used as astronaut training facilities, I will persist to aim that Wales has the capacity to explore space and to show that off-world culturalization can be achieved through a collective communitarian effort. Thank you.